Let's talk about closing. If people don't say yes, we're in deep trouble. Because if they say, I need to think it over, or I got to talk to somebody, well, we're not going to get paid. Unless we can build a team, unless we can get customers, we're not going to have the large business that we want. So closing is a pretty scary idea for most people. They say, wow, I'm afraid that they might say no, or I might get rejected. I don't want people to think I'm going to try to make money off of them, and I don't want them to say I'm pushy or sleazy. So we have a lot of fears about closing. Well, relax. If you are shy and don't know what to say and hate rejection, you will love this. Because now, in the last 23 years, through high-tech brain imaging, we know how people make decisions. And it's wonderful. It's going to make our life so much easier. So let me give you the spoiler alert. Here is what's going to happen. People make up their minds instantly. So if you have a pencil and paper, you might want to write this down. Rule number one of the brain is people make instant decisions right away, yes or no, before they've even heard the name of the company, before they've heard the name of the products, before they've heard anything, they already make a yes decision. You say, wow, that's pretty scary. And number two, they make that decision based upon zero information. Absolutely none. In other words, they just kind of make up their mind and it's over with, and you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You mean before I'd done my great sales presentation? And the answer is yes. Before I saw the video? The answer is yes. So rule number one, people make instant decisions. Rule number two, they make the decision on no information. Rule number three, they want some really easy options because they don't want to think very hard. But all this sounds strange, so let me give you some examples. Let's imagine that Tina and I were doing a meeting, and at the end, Tina says, Big Al and I, we're going to the ice cream parlor when we finish. Who wants to come with us? Half the people raise their hands, and the other half don't. Now, the half that didn't raise their hand, their answer is no. They're saying, oh, I'm lactose intolerant, or I have a babysitter at home, or I don't really like ice cream, or I'm not very social, and that's okay. They're not a prospect. But the half that raised their hand, wait a minute, they made their final decision already, I want to go, before they heard the name of the ice cream parlor, or where it was located, or how many flavors of ice cream, or if Tina was going to buy everybody's ice cream or not. They made their decision before the information. And you say, I thought I had to give a long, boring presentation first. Nope. I thought I had to show them all about the products first. Nope. And all of a sudden we realize people make decisions instantly before the information. So let me give you some examples, because once we take this step, closing will be easy. So how many people here have ever sat down with a prospect, and from the moment you sit down, the prospect is leaning back, folding their arms, frowning? Have they made a decision? Yeah. What was their decision? No. Based on how much information? Zero. I haven't even said anything yet. How many people here have ever been to a grocery store? Okay. So at the grocery store or supermarket, you go down the aisle, and the first thing you see is a box of cornflakes. And you say, oh, cornflakes. I wonder if they have a company video. Tell me about the company founder. Are the cornflakes natural, international, supernatural? Do they have any testimonials? Have they won any awards lately? No, that's not how we think. We look at cornflakes and go, blah. And we go down the aisle saying, no, 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 no. Oh, yes to donuts. No, no. Yes to a bottle of wine or some beer. And that's how humans make decisions. instantly before the information. How many people here invited somebody to a meeting and they didn't show up? Yeah. Well, have they made a decision? Yeah. What was their decision? No. Based on how much information? None. They haven't even heard anything and they already made up their mind. So does it become apparent that people make decisions quick? Now, ladies, have you ever seen a man with a remote control in front of the TV channel surfing, click, 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 click? Ladies, you look at men and say, men are so stupid. They make their final decision before they even see anything on the channel. They are idiots. Now, men, we have no defense on this, so we'll just move on. So imagine this. You get on YouTube, you look at a video. How many seconds into the video before we make our final decision if we want to watch the video or not? 5 seconds? 3 seconds? Yeah, we make up our mind before the information. Have you ever been to a restaurant and walked into that restaurant and sat down to eat many times before we've even seen the menu? We made our decision before the information. Now, let's order off the menu. And the waiter takes the order, and we gave the order before the information. Were the vegetables organically grown? Did the chicken have a happy life before they killed it? We made our decision before the information. Now, let's apply this to real life. Right now, you look at your phone, and there's an incoming call, and it's from a salesman. How long did it take us to make our final decision if we want to talk to that salesman or not? For many of us, we just ignored the call. We made our final decision before we even took the call. And you go, wow, I never thought of it that way. Now, if you and I make our final decision to salespeople instantly, do you think other people would do that to us? Wow. What percentage of the time? A little over 100%. So the first thing we have to do is train our minds that the final decision happens first. So my question to you is, if people make up their minds instantly, right away, before the presentation, when would be a good time to close? Before the presentation. And that's the secret that's going to make it easy for us. Now, for those that are having problems just believing that we don't need information for decisions, let me give you 2 examples. So, example number 1, ladies, you know who you are. Ladies, have you ever, sometime in your lifetime, met a young man, made up your mind about that young man, where that young man might fit in your life, and made that decision in the first 30 seconds? Yeah. Now, men, is that fair? No, that's not fair. They haven't heard our presentation yet. But that's how it works. So, ladies, if you're sitting next to a man right now, turn to the man, look him in the eye, and say, that's how it works. Last example. How many people here have entered a relationship or got married before you had all the information? And you say, well, that's just cruel. But it's how the human mind works. So the first thing is people make decisions instantly, right away, yes or no. Secondly, they do it on no information. So how do you feel about our sales presentation now? It's going to be one of the most useless, time-wasting anchors around our neck, pushing people away. You and I never have to push a sales presentation on another person again because they have already made their decision. So what do we do with our sales presentation? We just rename it their first training session, because the only people that's going to hear our sales presentation is people that have already made the mental yes decision. So now when we do our presentation, there's no more objections and weirdness. We're both looking for the same goal. And this should make everybody feel a lot better. So rule number 1, they make the decisions quickly. Rule number 2, no information. How about rule number 3? Rule number 3 is the human brain is just really lazy. And the human brain says, oh, I want to save my brain energy for Netflix or Sky TV. I don't want to think very hard. So if I have to make a decision, just make it easy for me. Just give me a couple choices. Because if you give me too many choices, it's going to hurt. And it's going to hurt way too much. So what we're going to do is give the human brain the minimum amount of choices that we possibly can. And that would be 2. Now, here are the 2 choices we're going to give their human brain, and they will make an instant decision. Choice number 1 is the wonderful thing I have to offer, which would be awesome. And number 2 would be keep your miserable life the same. So an example would be if they were looking for extra income, we would give them the choice, you can have an extra income with us or to continue trying to get by on one paycheck. Oh, if they hated their job, the choice would be to continue working a job you hate for the rest of your life or to join our business so you can be your own boss. If they hated commuting to work, you'd say the choice are you can be in traffic 1 hour every day, going to work 1 hour every day, coming back to work and be frustrated in traffic, or join our business so maybe next year you can work out of your home. Now, do you notice that we said choices? And choices and options are cool words. I want you to think the back of your mind right now. I come up to you and I say, I want to give you a presentation. What do? Oh, presentation? This is going to be terrible. They're going to try to sell me something. Oh, no. And then they're going to close me at the end. And I'm going to instantly have to look for reasons why this won't work. So I'll have some ammunition in the end. But instead of the word presentation, why not replace it with the word options? O-P-T-I-O-N-S. And the word options means there's going to be some choices. People love choices. So the choices are what we offer or keep your life the same. And people don't feel pressured. They say, it's okay if I take either one, but wait a minute. If it's an option, the only way the option can help me is if I can figure out a way to make it work. So with presentations, they're looking for reasons why not, so they have ammunition at the end. With options, they're looking for reasons why it will work for them, and we help open up their mind. Humans love options. Everybody loves options. When you say the word options, they all relax and they say, this is going to be great. I have more options for my life. So if we went to an all-you-can-eat buffet and all they had was tofu, yeah, we'd want extra options. If we're crossing a burning volcano and all we had was a rope bridge, yeah, we want extra options. So when we offer people options, they are so happy. So if you're shy, here's what you and I are going to do. We're going to gift people an option. That's it. We're going to gift them an option so they have one more choice in their life. And they will be so happy, they won't feel pressured. They say, options are great. Now, my son Keith, he has this great example of options. He says, you and I sit down for a cup of coffee. And the waitress comes and says, do you want cream with your coffee? And you say, yeah, I want cream with my coffee. And come to me and say, Big Al, do you want cream with your coffee? I said, no, I don't want cream with my coffee. I just like it black. You don't see the waitress go back into the kitchen with the cream and slam it against the wall and yell, it's a pyramid. I've been rejected. This is the most terrible thing that ever happened to me. I quit. My life is over. No, it's just an option. And what's nice with options is it's very clear what we offer people. So we don't really have to follow up. I mean, the waitress doesn't have to call me the next day and say, Big Al, do you want cream with your coffee now? All right, I'll call you tomorrow, see if your mind's changed. No, I know if I want cream with my coffee, I can get it from the waitress. So this is going to relieve us of the pressure of all this follow-up. And for the people we talk to, it's going to relieve them of pressure of saying, you got to do my agenda, because they're going to look at us and look for our agenda. So you say, okay, this options thing is pretty cool. People won't feel like they're being sold to. They don't feel like, oh man, you have some sort of agenda, you're just trying to sell me and take my money. They're going to open up and feel a lot better. We're going to actually have a human conversation with real humans. How cool is that? You say, well how do I do this? What's the words? It's one thing to understand how it works, but I need to know the words. So let's start with some easy words that we can use to let people know that it is an option. We can let them know right away. But you say, well, I already talked to people, and I already gave them a whole presentation. What would I say at the end? So let's do both. Let's say that we got carried away with ourselves and we start talking about the product and the opportunity, and et cetera. And at the end, people are just looking, So we say, well, we better close. And what do we want to do? Do we want to say, well, would you please join? No. Or, do you want to join now? No. Or, please buy, my baby needs shoes? No. We don't want to do that. We don't want rejection. Instead, we just want to offer them an option as a gift. So, at the very end, if you just need to wrap it up and go home, just say this, 9 words. So, what is going to be easier for you? So if you have a pencil and paper, you might want to write those words down. So what is going to be easier for you? Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that there's an option coming. They say, hey, that's great. I have some choices. And it sounds like, whoa, I get to make the choices. You're asking what's easier for me. Wait a minute. I'm programmed to do what's easier, not what's harder, so I'll pick what's easier. No stress, and they smile. So if you ever feel like you sound like a sleazy salesman, just say, so what is going to be easier for you? Now we're going to give them 2 options and allow them to choose. Now for all the people here that says, I just want to corner them and force them to buy. Well, let's use options instead. But here's the secret. We get to choose the options. And that's what gives us the power. So what are the options? Number 1, the wonderful thing we offer. And number 2, keep your miserable life just the way it is. So let's see how that sounds. So what is going to be easier for you? To spend every afternoon feeling tired and miserable? Or to start using our products so you have energy all afternoon? So what's going to be easier for you? To continue growing old really fast, or maybe slow it down a little bit. So what's going to be easier for you? To lock the door every time the grandchildren come because those little home wreckers make you tired? Or to have so much energy they say, Grandma, slow down, I can't keep up. So, what's going to be easier for you? To continue working for your dream-sucking vampire boss, taking little bits of your brain out every day, turning you into a human zombie? Or to start tonight, so maybe next year you can work out of your home in your own business? So, what's going to be easier for you? To continue warehousing your babies in daycare, paying other people big money to watch them grow up? Or to get started tonight, so maybe next year you can work out of your home and have your children at home too. So, what's going to be easier for you? To continue working 45 years like your parents? Or to start your own part-time business, so maybe next year you'll have your own business instead of going to a job? So, what is going to be easier for you? To wake up every morning at 6 a.m. to that alarm clock and drive through 2 hours of traffic in Los Angeles, finding cars there and 2 hours all the way back, and do that every day until you die? Or to start your own part-time business now, so maybe in 1 or 2 years you can change your life, be your own boss, and wake up at the crack of noon. You say, wow, that's really nice. We give people an option, and they can choose to continue their miserable life, Or they can take our wonderful option. Most people take the wonderful option. And you say, well, but will everybody say yes? Well, of course not. Because not everybody is a prospect. Let me give you an example. Let's say that we had a car dealership selling BMW automobiles. Only about 3% of the population want BMW automobiles. The other 97% want Toyotas or Porsche or Volkswagen or Ford. Yeah. But we could have a huge business selling BMWs just with 3% of the market. So not everybody, because they may have a personal preference. Or maybe we don't even know what happened to them 30 minutes before we met them. Maybe they had a fight with their spouse or got fired by their boss or their son came home from school and was expelled. We don't know what issues people have. You know, some people, maybe they just got dropped on their head when they were a kid. We don't know. Some people are math challenged. They go, let me think here. More money or less money? Let me do the math on that. All right, leave them alone. They have problems. But most people we talk to, not 3% out of 100, most people we talk to want a better life. They want more money, want to be their own boss, want to retire early, want to work for their home instead of commuting. They want to live longer instead of dying quickly. They want what we have to offer. So if we give our particular offer, what sounds better than their miserable life, chances are they'll want to take it unless they have something else unusual going on. I mean, some people have just deep psychological damage. We're not professionals. We're not going to put the psychologists out of business. If somebody has mental problems where they can't get their head around this choice, leave them alone. Don't spend 5 years talking to them and trying to change their attitude and stuff. Leave them alone. Because that's charity work. We have to build our business first. Later, it's very quick, yes or no. And if they 7-year-old girls out knocking on doors selling cookies, and they go, what? Are you out of your mind? Yeah, we are. But that's what Girl Scout cookies do. So this one Girl Scout was number one. I mean, everybody knows that one person was the best seller, so they interviewed the number one Girl Scout back then. And they said, okay, you sold the most cookies of all the Girl Scouts. So tell me, what was your secret? What was your secret? And the Girl Scout said, I don't know. And said, look, come on, you were number one. What was your secret of selling all these cookies? She says, oh, I don't know. I just talk to people. Well, what do you say? She says, well, I go up to the door, I ring the doorbell, the person comes to the door, and I say, do you want to buy some Girl Scout cookies? And the interviewer says, okay, got that. And what do you say next? Girl Scout went, that's it. She says, well, what do you mean? Where's your sales presentation? She says, I just say, do you want to buy some Girl Scout cookies? And they say yes or no. If they say yes, I take the order. Well, what if they say no? What do you say? And the Girl Scout said, oh. When they say no, I simply ask somebody else. And that was her secret. Now, we heard this now, and we're thinking, yeah, I'll just talk to other people. But the problem is, if we're shy, we're afraid of talking to other people. But we are going to learn, or we have learned already, how to talk to more people with no rejection. So the secret is we want to talk to more people. But before today, maybe many of us are saying, well, I'm afraid to talk to people. I'm afraid to approach new people. Well, that's going to go away. Because as we learned today, it's going to be easy to talk to people. So all we do is give lots of people choices. And the choices are so amazingly easy. Our wonderful offer, or keep your miserable life just the way it is. And you're thinking, I think I can do that. So that's how we could end it up. But let's talk about what we could say before. So are you ready? So before we talk to them about all of our wonderful products and stuff, we can use this little sequence of words. It's 5 words. It says, does it make sense to? So does it make sense to? And then we're going to tell them our wonderful offer. So if you have a pencil and paper, write down, does it make sense to? And then we're going to tell them what we're going to offer, what we want them to do, comma. And then we're going to say, instead of keeping your life the same. Now, this is a really easy way to introduce our business into a conversation, and a really easy way for them to make a decision right away. So let me give you a couple examples of this. Does it make sense to start a business now so you can work out of your home instead of fighting LA traffic for the rest of your life? That was pretty easy, wasn't it? Now, when we say does it make sense to, people automatically make a yes decision before we've said word number 6. When we say does it make sense to, they're thinking, well, I'm a sensible person. I will make an intelligent decision. I'm pretty smart. I'm borderline genius. So when we say does it make sense to, they're already going yes before we've even started. And then we say instead of keeping your miserable life, they say, how easy was that? So, does it make sense to start a part-time business now instead of trying to get by on one paycheck for the rest of our life? Does it make sense to feed our bodies nutrition so we have energy all afternoon instead of feeling tired and negative all afternoon every day? Does it make sense to take care of our body instead of just giving up and dying early? Does it make sense instead of causes people to make an instant yes or no decision? And that's all we ask, to make the decision yes or to make the decision no. So let's try this. Does it make sense to come to the convention instead of keeping our income really low? Does it make sense to try all the new products instead of looking like an idiot and not being able to explain how they work? Does it make sense to talk to our family and friends first instead of them being mad that we kept it secret from them? Does it make sense instead of is the perfect way to close people before we even start? Well, how do we feel about closing so far? Well, that was pretty easy. We have some magic word phrases like, does it make sense to instead of? We have some phrases like, what's going to be easier for you? But will that fit in every situation, every time? Of course not. So what we need is some other ways to move the sale closer to happening. So let's start using some magic words here. So I want you to think in the back of your mind, how do you feel if I come up to you and say, would you like to buy something? Or would you like to join? And all of a sudden you go, sounds like a salesman. So how can we arrange the words so we don't sound like salespeople? Well, here's the first magic sequence, which is so cool, because when you say these words, most people are going to go, wow, yeah, my answer is yes, this will sound great. So are we ready? Here is the phrase. The phrase is, would it be okay if? Now, you can say, would it be okay if, over and over again, and nobody will ever pick up the phrase. I mean, you could sit down for a cup of coffee and say, would it be okay if you pass me the cream? Would it be okay if you pass me the sugar? Would it be okay if you refilled my coffee cup? Would it be okay if we got some donuts to go with it? And you could say, would it be okay if, and people will never hear the words. They'll never hear them. They'll just think, oh, it's just part of the noise, and they'll concentrate on our message. But if you say, would it be okay if, the back of their brain goes, yes, 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 high five, totally there, yes. If you said, would it be okay if my answer is yes, yes, yes? And you're saying, really? Is that how the human mind thinks? And the answer is yes. When we say, would it be okay if, the other person almost feels obligated to say yes. It's difficult for them to say no. So let me give you an example of saying, would it be okay if? Many years ago, I was in England, And I was down in a little city called Truro, and the airline messed up my suitcase. So I had to go to a place called Marks and Spencer's to get a new suitcase. So I took 2 distributors with me. And I said, watch this. I just want you to say, would it be okay if, as often as you can. And you'll notice there's no rejection. People just will try to say yes. They will try. They say, really? I said, trust me, kids know this. Kids know if they say to their mom and dad, would it be okay if I do my homework on Sunday? People say, oh, okay. Or would it be okay if I stayed at Jennifer's tomorrow night? Or would it be okay if I borrowed the family car and never bring it back? That's what my daughter did. But the point is, if we say, would it be okay if, people naturally feel compelled to say yes. They almost feel guilty by saying no. So how can we use this, would it be okay if? All right, so let's just try this. Feel the back of your brain how quick the decision is if I say, would it be okay if you had an extra paycheck? Would it be okay if you could fire the boss? Would it be okay if you had 2 paychecks instead of 1? Would it be okay if you never had to go to work again? Would it be okay if you had a 1-week holiday every month? Would it be okay if you had a check come in every month before you showed up for work? Would it be okay if you took a 6-month holiday twice a year? Would it be okay if you had more energy than your grandchildren? Would it be okay if, and you're thinking, people just want to say yes before we get to the offer. So if we focus on would it be okay if, that's one of the easiest ways to close people. So on your piece of paper right now, write down, would it be okay if? Kids use it to get away with murder. And when we say, would it be okay if, people naturally want to say yes to what we say next. So it puts the odds in our favor, and it's so polite, nobody's ever offended when we say, would it be okay if? So you say, well, that's a pretty easy one. What else could I use to get people to maybe make a yes decision quicker instead of later? So let's move up to these 2 words. Have a pencil paper? Here's our second set of magic words, and that is most people. When we say most people, what happens? The back of their brain says, wait a minute, most people. If most people do something, am I part of most people? Am I part of less people? I'm part of most people. So if most people do it, then I do it because I'm part of most people. So if most people do something or most people believe something, then I do it, then I believe it. I'm a most people type person. Yeah. So most people want to do things that most people want to do. For instance, 2 restaurants. One restaurant, long line, the other restaurant, empty, totally empty. Which one do we want to go to? Unfortunately, for most of us, we want to go to the long line. We say, oh, we want to be with most people, because maybe the other restaurant, they just poisoned everybody and they died, and that's why nobody goes there. So it must be safer to go to the one with the restaurant. And that's why we tend to go to crowded restaurants instead of restaurants that are not crowded. We feel safer if we follow what most people do. So go to a big city late at night, walk down a tiny dark alley. As you're walking down that tiny dark alley, do you want to walk through alone or with other people? With other people. So we naturally, as humans, want to do what most people do because it seems safer. Here's how we got that program. When we were cavemen many, many thousands of years ago, we said, okay, if we're out there alone, the lions are going to pick us off. So we need to go out as a group to be safe. So we got to stay with the group, be safe, or we get eaten by the lions. So when we say the words most people, that program jumps up in their brain. And they say, most people. Am I part of most people? Am I part of less people? Not many people are part of less people. I'm part of most people. Plus, I want to be with most people. Most people survive. They don't get eaten by the lions. So less people, man, they're lion food. So I do what most people do, and that feeling just runs over them right away. And most people is great for closing. So let's put this to use in real life. Now, I hope you wrote down most people on your paper, because we can use it for many things. Like, most people want more energy. Yeah, I do want more energy. Most people would like 2 paychecks instead of 1. Oh, let me do the math. Yeah. That makes sense. Most people want to, and all of a sudden, we realize if we say most people in front of something, they're going, yeah. So let's try this. Well, I don't know about starting, and, well, most people start right away because they don't want to wait for the checks. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Most people want to have more energy than their grandchildren. Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Most people, and just using that everywhere we go, makes it easy. So I say, all right, so I could just say most people start at this level. Most people get this product pack when they start. Most new team members sign up for the convention right away, so they're not left behind. Most people just resonates with people. And you can try this, practice it everywhere you go. And as a matter of fact, practice all these closes we've covered. So most people here will practice, does it make sense? You say, well, where am I going to practice? Well, you go tonight at dinner, you just say to the children, does it make sense to eat your vegetables now instead of never having a Wi-Fi password again? You say, wow, I feel such power. I can manipulate my children. I could probably manipulate my coworkers and my boss. And all of a sudden, we start feeling more powerful, and we're going to have more confidence because we're giving options that it just makes sense for people to take. So most people want to give better options. Most people want to live longer. Most people want to have more time with their children. Most people would like to earn more money than their brother-in-law. You see, this most people think is pretty good. I can do this over and over again, and people will say yes, and yes. So most people here probably like to have another set of magic words. And everybody knows, hint, those are the magic words. So if you have a pencil and paper right now, write down, everybody knows. And when we say everybody knows, what are they thinking? Well, everybody knows. Am I part of everybody? Am I part of nobody? Well, nobody's part of nobody, so I must be part of everybody. And if everybody knows, that means I know, so it must be true. No further proof needed. So let's try this. Everybody knows that we should take good care of our bodies. Everybody knows that good health is the coolest thing we could ever wish for. Everybody knows health is more important than money. Everybody knows we're not going to get rich working a job. Everybody knows our jobs take up too much time during the week. Everybody knows commuting is just terrible. Everybody knows we want so much time with our family that we could take them on holidays and stuff, and that was our dream. And when we say everybody knows, people go, yeah, I'm part of everybody. I know that. I agree. So everybody knows an extra paycheck can make us rich. Everybody knows our regular paychecks cover our expenses, and our extra paycheck could be our investment. Everybody knows if you have an extra paycheck for just a couple years, you can probably retire. Everybody knows we want a career that's helping people and more fun than just pushing paper from one side of the desk to another. Everybody knows that 2 paychecks are better than 1. And we're thinking, that's pretty easy. So all I have to do is put everybody knows in front of my offer, and most people are going to say, well, yeah, I think that makes sense. Ready for another set of magic words? What could they be? How about everybody says? Now, if everybody says it, that means I say it. If I say it, it must be true. No further proof needed. Is that how the mind thinks? Yeah, that's how the mind thinks. So if we say everybody says, guess what they're going to be thinking? Well, that means I say it. If I say it, it must be true. No further proof needed. That was so easy. So everybody says that living longer is better than dying quickly. Everybody says we have a chance. Let's try to retire early instead of working every day for the rest of our life. Everybody says if we don't take care of our body, then where are we going to live? Where would I live? Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah, I got to take care of my body. Everybody says smart people don't put all their eggs in one basket, and we certainly don't want all our income from one source. Everybody says jobs aren't secure like they used to be. Everybody says, and you're thinking, this is a lot easier to talk to people. They're going to make up their minds very quick, and they might make up their minds after just 2 words, like most people, or everybody knows, or everybody says. We just say those couple words, and people are going to go, yes, 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 yes. I make my decision now instantly, and we find this almost hard to believe. But this is how humans make decisions. The biggest problem we had is we used to think that decisions come from our mind, thinking about, oh yeah, let's weigh the pros and let's weigh the cons. Or maybe we make decisions based upon little voices talking in our ear, or lightning hitting our brains, or some sort of hormonal flare-up. No. Our brains, the actual brain, is a survival organ. Its job is to keep us alive. That's it. And does a pretty good job. We're all alive right now. And it keeps us from danger. So our brain, as a survival organ, is saying, all right, keep alive, and do what most people do. And what everybody says. And we are programmed to make instant decisions quickly. So don't think the brain makes a decision 45 minutes later, adding up all the good things we said and all the bad things over here and seeing which is best. That's not how the human brain works. Human brain sorts things out immediately. Remember walking down that aisle in the grocery store? No, 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 yes, 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 yes. Do you remember channel surfing? Or do we remember, do we want to go to the ice cream parlor or not? We sort things out immediately. So the secret is people close immediately. Let's do it right away. So if you're shy people, don't take a chance. Don't go for rejection. No, 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 no. Just offer people a simple option and allow them to take the option. That's it. Here's the option, or keep your life the same. And don't have an agenda. Because if they're sensible, they're going to say, well, my miserable life or this wonderful option, I'll take the option. And if they're not sensible and say, oh, I want to keep my miserable life, I'm a full-time loser, I want to fall on a sword, I want to fall off a cliff, would you help push me? All right, I'll help push. If they're in that mental state, leave them alone. That's way too complicated for our skills. That's why there's psychologists in the world. All we're going to do is give people a simple option to have a better life or not. And if we don't give them the option, it's cruel. That means we're withholding the option from them. So imagine that you knew that your products could really help people live longer, feel better, be healthier than having a crummy diet. And you withheld that option from your mom for 5 years. You didn't tell her about it. No, no, no. Too shy. I didn't tell her. I didn't even give her the option. How's she going to feel? 5 years from now, when she finds out, she's going to say, you didn't tell me, you didn't even give me a chance to say no? I'm cutting you out of my will. So all we want to do is offer people the option right away. They will close immediately. Don't worry about being a sleazy salesman. They will figure it out, yes or no, straight away in the first 10 or 15 seconds. So here's the deal. In our business, it's all over in the first 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah, before we've told them anything. It's all over. Now, that's some good news and some bad news. So here's the bad news. The bad news is it's all over in 10 or 15 seconds. But the good news is you and I only have to be good for about 10 or 15 seconds. And after that, we can be incompetent. Because once they say yes, they're on our side of the table. We can discover things together. We don't have to be an expert. So give people choices. And the choice is, yes, I want your wonderful option, or no, I want to keep my miserable life the same. Give it to them. Allow them to choose. Take the volunteers, and you will never be rejected, and you will close immediately. Because the worst thing in the world is to give them a 45-minute presentation and ask them at the end, what was your decision 45 minutes ago when I started? That is silly. Let's not do this. Give them the choice right away, and they will feel better, and we will never, ever get rejected. Good luck closing.
Well, friends, this is the time when we got very useful information. We faced some technical problems.